Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. We are currently at the beautiful golf place on iDrive. I apparently won't mention the name of it, but very excited to have Chris and Renee here with us. They are Chris Charman and Renee Kirwan, sorry. Let us know you can hear us and see us. We are fighting against the clicks of the ball or the hit of the ball. Jennifer Holt, what's up? So we're going to talk as loudly as we possibly can. We're also fighting some music, but the view behind us is so beautiful, and I hope you guys can see it and enjoy. So give us a thumbs up, give me a heart. Let me know how the vocals are. I'm not really screaming. Ernie Plaza, what's up? So let me know you can hear us and see us. Okay, so look, we got a thumbs up. Thank you for that. All right, welcome. So this is your second trip around the sun at the TED Show. I'm very excited to have you guys here. Tell us a little bit about you before we start talking about cannabis. Chris, give us a start.
Hi, Ted, thanks for having us back. It was great the first time. Interesting venue the second time. We really like this. I'm Chris Charman. I'm in the cannabis space. I entered it kind of by accident. I wanted to get contact lenses. I ended up getting an eye exam, and I found out I have glaucoma. Some of the issues that come along with that are the insane treatment. The intraocular pressure needs to be released, and when I asked the optician what my options were, he said, well, we can put some very disturbing drops in your eyes, or we can bore holes in your eyes with a laser, or you can try medical marijuana. So that was my entry into the medical
Forward
marijuana
thinking.
field. Very forward thinking. It was good to have somebody on board. So that's how I entered the space.
And Renee, how did you enter the space?
Hi, everyone.
I like that we're calling it the space.
The space.
I like it.
There are, lingo. You can call it lingo, but
I'm learning.
It's great to be back, Ted. So thanks for having us.
I'm so blessed to have you guys.
It's a really cool event here. So my name is Renee Kirwan. Yeah, we were here a couple months ago, and let me tell you, cannabis has changed my life. It was a complete game changer about 5 years ago. I love horses, ride, breed, train, have a farm, and unfortunately with riding we fall sometimes. I had a bad fall, and really, because I don't take any medications, I have very few options left. Cannabis usually is kind of a last option.
Well, because it's been vilified for so long, even with all of the information that's out there and all of the changes in legislation, it's still thought of, it's still got a stigma attached to it.
I fight the stigma, yes. So that was my option, try medical marijuana. I was so amazed and impressed with this plant. I come from more of an alternative healing background, so for me it was right up my alley. But there's just so much misinformation even today, and yes, I fight the stigma. Fell in love with this plant and the amazing effects. I hadn't slept for 5 years. All of a sudden I'm sleeping well.
I understand that pain. Isn't that awesome?
And I relate and I empathize, and people are walking around in pain and they can't sleep, or they're dealing with anxiety and depression, and cannabis can really, really help you, and it's natural. So
I thought you guys were going to say, well, no, I love it. I love your passion
Yes.
for it. I thought you guys were going to say, well, we're both in real estate, so of course cannabis was the answer.
Well, we both are in real estate, and after a long day, cannabis surely can help.
It helps, right?
It
All right,
does.
so I have a couple of basic questions, and then I want to talk about what's going on in the cannabis space, which I love. For a lot of people immediately think of cannabis and they think smoking it. And it's only, I'm sure it's been around a long time because brownies and all of that stuff. But for somebody who doesn't smoke, what are the options for me?
I'll start and let you, because Chris can really go into detail on this, but you're absolutely right. When we're out in the public, we have a company called Mission Leaf. We're a mobile medical marijuana doctor's office. We will bring a doctor with us. We will go to underserved areas. We'll hit events throughout Florida, 55 plus communities, and really it's about education, getting out there. When you start talking to people, you find out that it's either, well, I want to smoke weed, but I don't want to try that vaping thing. And there are so many different delivery systems available that we have got to let people know. Tinctures, for instance, women love it.
What's a
It's
tincture?
right underneath,
It's sublingual.
Oh, you put it under your tongue.
It's a sublingual.
Women don't necessarily, I personally vape, but I'm telling you there are people out there that just don't like it. That's fine. There's transdermal patches. There's now gel tabs.
I've never smoked anything, right? Not even cigarettes. So, but I like the vape because normally it smells good. The reason why the other stuff gets to me, besides that I don't smoke, is there's a pungent smell to it.
There's the new products that are on the market are manipulated in such that they can add flavors to it. You can get mango, banana, cherry. You can manipulate the terpenes to get a certain flavor and a certain effect. So it's not just, as you said, I don't smoke the plant, but I've never smoked marijuana before. A lot of people have it and they don't want to. So they're following up on the ideas of edibles, of transdermals. You can take, there's suppositories. There's a huge realm of ways to...
I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that. So all of a sudden, suppositories made it in.
With extreme cramping.
Oh, okay, so good
or
to
maybe
know.
endometriosis. It's a great way, and even CBD. So without the THC, there are ways. It's more topical, obviously, but it's a great.
And so,
solution.
talk a little bit. I want to get to Mission Leaf, and I want to talk about the cannabis space. But last time you guys were on, people messaged me afterward and said, "Ask them about this, ask them about that." So another question that they asked were that there's a lot of information out about edibles and how they're stronger, and you have to be super careful, and you have to know where to buy them. And now that there's multi-level marketing, network marketing for anything to do with CBD, there's all this out there. Is that true? If you get an edible, do you have to be super careful?
At this moment in the state of Florida, edibles are not legal. You can't get a cookie, for instance. Whatever you get, you can basically at CBD level and not CBD THC.
Correct.
So,
And that's the difference, right?
The difference is you're not getting the psychoactive component in the edibles that are available right now. That'll change. It's going to come around. Just recently, the flower has been passed. The House said you can smoke the flower. The governor signed the bill, and you'll be able to buy the flower. But when you do edibles, sometimes they're not properly prepared. You may not have a homogeneous batch where the THC may be stronger at this batch of the cookie and weaker with this. So you have to, the reproducibility of this is what's in question. So when you're doing edibles, go slow, go low. Start easy.
We say that across the board to anyone we're talking about, especially our seniors that are exploring cannabis as an option for their medical, their well-being. Start low, so low dose, and go very, very slow. With edibles, with the delayed onset, that's my biggest concern, actually.
How does that work? So the delayed onset, you mean you take it and then it takes a while for it to impact?
Instead of 30 or 45 seconds when you're inhaling, it has to go through your digestive system and be absorbed through your digestive system, which is a slower process. And the mistake that people make is they'll take their cookie or whatever, their brownie or whatever it is they're eating, and they eat it and 20 minutes, 30 minutes go by, they don't feel anything, so they think, well, maybe I didn't do enough.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Then they get the door slammed in their face when they do that next cookie, and you're hit with this huge, overwhelming dose of THC.
Right.
And just again, for the record, there's been no overdosing with the cannabis plant, but it would certainly be unpleasant. With any type of medicine, there's room for abuse.
Correct.
But I want to say, from my own experience, when I first started, and again, this is another neat aspect to the plant. You get to take responsibility back for your own health.
Right.
You get to monitor how your body is feeling, how it's reacting. We always let people know it's a good idea to track it individually because science is in the game now too, and we're creating these amazing custom strains that are going to start really targeting specific disease. So,
well, you know that in my opinion, Big Pharma has been one of the biggest challengers, right?
Absolutely.
But if you guys have read anything, Big Pharma's getting in the game, guys. They have created their own marijuana cannabis pill that's gonna, I mean, they know that's the future. So if you're holding on to the old stigma of things, I'm just telling you, it's time to let it go.
There was, when there still is a product out there called Marinol. It's been around since the 70s, and it's an extract from marijuana plant. But it never really caught on. Doctors didn't prescribe it very much, but it was a pain med, and it was used a lot in terminal pain. So Big Pharma has been aware of this for a long, long time, but it wasn't legal. And now they see that the handwriting's on the wall, and they have seen it. They're forward-thinking as well, as any structure for profit companies should be.
Correct.
So yeah, they're on board. So are the beer companies.
The good news is, I mean, I personally have recently met with Holly Bell, and she is our new director of cannabis for the state of Florida.
Nice.
And
Hi, Holly.
she came in from Tennessee. She had completely worked the infrastructure for the whole hemp. She is phenomenal, and really, Florida, we're in for a great surprise. She's created a process, it's tried and true, and I think for both hemp production and for medical cannabis, we're in for a really amazing adventure.
So talk about that, Renee. So we're here today to talk about what's new, what's going on, what are the alternatives, what's happening in the cannabis space. So
the newest is
tell us
what Renee she discussed. The hemp bill has been passed. The federal government has passed the hemp bill, so each state can develop their own hemp program. But what we have is a very experienced woman in place right now that's already developed a hemp program outside of our state and has made it, the go-to program. Anybody that models themselves after this program is going to be successful. That's what's new right now.
And we're really looking to Florida. I mean, grow in Florida, keep it in Florida, let Floridians benefit. So Florida strains are being looked at both for hemp and for medical use.
Well, you talk about the difference. Okay, remember, somebody who's not as educated, I hear hemp, CBD, THC, marijuana, cannabis. Is it all the same?
No.
Okay.
You have a family of plants, of cannabis plants. Within that family, you have various strains. So you have industrial hemp, which separates you from what we grew up with as being a THC-laden marijuana plant. The industrial hemp has, in order to be called industrial hemp, it has to have a THC content of less than 0.03%. Above and beyond that, it no longer qualifies as industrial.
It can be used in textiles, cars,
Building
Mercedes is now
materials,
using it. So.
oil extracts for paints. There's a huge gamut of uses for the industrial plant. But the difference in taking the industrial plant and using it for CBD extraction versus using it for the actual industrial uses of it is you allow that plant to go to flower and go to seed. That makes it the pure industrial. You no longer have the ability to extract useful amounts of CBD out. CBD is grown exactly the same way as you would grow marijuana with THC in it. You frustrate the female plant by not allowing it to pollinate, and you keep all the males out of the area, and you get a non-flower.
Well, she's definitely frustrated then, right?
Definitely. And the CBD, people ask me all the time, does CBD work? And it most certainly works. Again, we're all created differently to a degree. So what you might get in the way of some pain relief, or your anxiety is a little bit lessened, or you're sleeping better at night. I have seen and helped people with CBD. We both have when we go out to the public, and it's amazing. I had a man who obviously I'm not going to name names, but he has suffered with such severe IBS for the last 20 years, almost housebound. He's got rheumatoid arthritis. He really didn't want to go down the huge medication route, but he has. And I said, just give CBD a try. He really was not a proponent of the medical marijuana card at the time. I said, let's just try it. Come back in an hour and let me know how you're feeling. He comes running back, all excited. He was such a skeptic. Next day he came back to us. He got his Florida medical marijuana card, and I'm telling you that pure joy. He says the best sleep he's had in 20 years.
The response from the
Feels
public is
better.
overwhelming.
He's going to have his life back. He's going to be able to Leave the house.
But you just see, you had to kind of convince him because
Oh,
again,
so much
it's been
education.
vilified.
Education.
I always think of, when I first was learning about marijuana, I think of Spicoli and his gang pouring out of the Fast Times of Ridgemont High van, all the smoke and dude or whatever. Mr. Hand. I mean, I loved that movie, but that was the quintessential stereotype of anybody who
You
smoked
have,
pot.
Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke.
Grateful
Jeff Rogers
Dead
just
set,
did that.
You got a tremendous amount of stigma attached to it. But what we've done is we've created a company called Mission Leaf. Mission Leaf is a mobile medical marijuana doctor's office, but we're also out there in the community educating. Prior to getting people to the table to sign up for a medical card, we explain to them the what's, the whys, and the wherefores. We'll have a lunch and learn where there'll be 80 or 90 people sitting in front of us.
And they stay and they ask really
To the
good
end.
questions.
Well, because
There's a lot of
they've
information
reached,
to try
most
and
of the
understand.
time, they've reached the end of their rope, right?
exactly
So
it.
they have, nothing's working. They could not possibly want to take one more pill. And it's not, the pills aren't even helping anymore. And they want to do something for relief or for some kind of hope for their future. Like, so their future isn't zombie land
When
with
we
a whole
get
bunch
to-
of pills.
You get to a certain age, I'm not going to mention what that age is because I fall into that category. But the things
Under 30?
precisely. The things that we've done to our bodies, the way we treat ourselves, not everybody has viewed their body as a temple. I'm sure that, present company excluded, of course.
I mean, of course. Wow.
But we're all suffering from our behaviors and from whatever that we've involved ourselves, ingested, inhaled, whatever it has been. Now it's amplified. At over 55, these little pains are not little pains anymore. They're debilitating. And we're finding out that it's not just the over 55, but it's the over 70s. We're having groups of people that are in their 70s and 80s really wondering what, as you said, it's the last resort for them. It should be a first resort. People should look at this as the last resort. This is something you need to go and go, this is what I should have had 30 years ago.
Right.
This is what I need now.
And it's
This
neat
is
to
my
see.
first resort.
It's neat to see, especially the 55 plus communities. Because
Sure.
It just takes the two or three of them to start asking the questions, and then we can have really good dialogue on all the benefits and how it's going to help and specific questions. And we have a blast, and they end up our friends, and it's just.
We
it's
have cell
to
phones
wait,
filled
like I was
with the
saying.
numbers from the people that we talk to that call us on a daily basis. And what about this? And can you come visit our group? We have another community we'd like you to come visit. In the last month, we've also teamed up with a group called Marijuana Doctor. Marijuana Doctor is the largest brick and mortar facility. They've got 19 offices now. By the end of the year, there'll be 30. Well, we positioned ourselves as being a joint venture partner, so we use their stream of doctors as well to integrate into our system. In the last month, we have jointly been responsible for over 1,000 people signing up for their medical cards in the state of Florida.
Will you talk about that? By the way, Yvonne says, love your mission-based work, helping people. Talk about the card really itself, because I think that's also a scary step that might prohibit people in their minds. They're like, oh my God, how do I ask for it? What do I do? Do I
Why
qualify?
don't you explain what has just recently come out with the firearms for concealed weapons?
Oh yes. Well, one of the events we've just recently been at was Bike
Biggest-
Week.
biggest
I had
roadblock.
never been to a Bike Week before. 500,000 bikers
Wow.
descend on Daytona, and it was a blast.
Pretty amazing.
You
Set up
know,
for 10
older-
days.
Again, you're seeing just everyone coming through, dealing with some type of chronic pain, usually lower back, hip, knees, neuralgia. I mean, just ALS, Parkinson's, and it's crazy how many people are just walking around. I
Suffering,
think,
right?
Suffering. And so, yeah, start with the education, offer them the card if they're interested. The doctor's right there. I mean, we have streamlined this process. We help with the paperwork. You will be receiving an email back shortly from the health department walking you through their end of things. But, that's what it's about. Our doctors are fantastic. They're compassionate. Obviously, they're putting themselves out there.
Well, yeah, and they also
Being a
they're
physician.
outside the current norm, even though I think the norm is shifting, obviously.
Right.
But just to clear it up, you have the medical marijuana card. That doesn't mean that you can go in and your insurance is going to cover everything.
Not now, but there's.
I'm sure it's coming.
We're
Hey,
also,
Marlon. Hey, Yvonne.
Renee and I are also co-directors of Normal of Greater Orlando, which we've discussed before.
Love it.
That's our political arm. That's where we have the ability to make changes by talking to our lawmakers. And that's some of the things that are on the table right now. Insurance companies are going to recognize. But it has to be removed from the Schedule 1 position in the federal eye. You can't schedule, or you can't ask an insurance company to buy your heroin for you. And essentially, as a Schedule 1 drug, marijuana is heroin, LSD.
That's just insane
Isn't
to
it
me.
not?
It's so
It's
crazy.
insane.
But I really think we're in for some pretty surprising changes in a very, very new future, and really positive changes. So.
All right,
be a
so
little more
go ahead.
patient.
I just
Hey,
want to
Rose.
touch on one more thing about
Please
the
do.
card. Probably, especially with the last adventure that we went through at Bike Week for 10 days, 1 out of 2 people said, if I get my medical card, I'm going to have to turn in my concealed weapons permit.
That was the hot button.
Hot
That
button,
event,
and it
you know,
constantly
and
is.
People not wanting to give up
Because
their
it's a level 1 or schedule.
Well, because you're taking a controlled substance, which kind of the same to even look at it as a controlled substance anymore when 34 states are allowing you to use it
Recognized as
in one
medicine.
way or another. We went to when the first question that Renee had for the friends that she met from Tallahassee was, I always get this question, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line?
Well, we're lucky in that our new agricultural commissioner, Nikki Freed, has come out and said there's not going to be any problem. That you didn't know cross-checking, but it's exciting to be able to tell people you can have both.
So you can have
It
it.
can't be enforced. They
So-
will not enforce it.
Sophia has a question. Hey, Sophia, do HR departments accept the card as an okay to take meds at work?
That
That's
is-
a whole good question.
That's
Great question.
specific to your employer. Every employer is going to have their own policies. What we found is anyone that has a CDL license is taking issue. If you're working in the allied health field, there's going to be issues. So you've got to determine. It's better in this case. I've always been a proponent of. I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission, but in this case, it's more prudent to ask for permission
we
than
really
going
want to
ahead.
make that clear.
Yeah, I think that's
Case
important.
by case basis.
It's going to be, I mean, eventually, I'm sure it's going to be like taking any other meds. It's your private meds. But I would definitely say the HR departments would be where to start. Because also think about it. What if you have a random drug testing job, right? And what if that's one of their substances that could get you fired?
This is neat though, and this has happened a couple times already, where we're going to have this discussion with a potential patient, and it comes up, I'm concerned, I love my job. We talk about it, and they'll usually come to the conclusion of, I think I'm going to go talk to my supervisor about it. That opens up a dialogue.
Sure.
That opens up a discussion.
This
Lo and
isn't-
behold, the supervisors are pro-cannabis or willing to try this. And so they come back the next day, they get the card, and that's a win-win for us.
That's
This
awesome.
isn't in the closet anymore. Major employers
love
are
it.
all understanding that this is something that they have to face, accept, and they're developing policies in order to allow this to be fulfilled. It's not going to be an overnight sensation, but it's a work in progress. Companies recognize it and they are working on it. So hang in there.
Yeah, I think that was a great question, Sophia, because I think, again, back to this whole, first we got to deal with the feds, right? And as we're working this down and our states are passing things, so let me get this straight. You can get a script for hundreds of pain pills. Oh yeah, I know what Jeff's saying. I'm sure you're saying yes, but you can't get your marijuana if you want it.
Yeah, it's
I know what
ridiculous.
you're saying, Jeff. It's crazy.
Crazy,
But
Jeff.
that's because, remember, it was vilified a long time ago. Big Pharma, my opinion, got involved, and they wanted everything and anything they could do to keep it down, to keep
Well,
it
they're
vilified.
squeezing every ounce of profit out of turning people into drug addicts. It's a legalization of turning them into a drug addict.
I'm just
You start off with the backache and you start to take opiates, they realize, just like the tobacco companies realize, they're going to hook you, and that's what happens. And look at the money that everybody makes off of the drug that's an addictive.
It's horrible. The opioid crisis is crazy.
This is a replacement for it.
But at the end of the day, I always say, thank goodness this is an option. It's usually, like I say, one of the last options people will explore. But gosh, I'm telling you guys, I mean, 5 years ago, I was such an active person, and then to all of a sudden be almost to the point where getting in and out of a chair, you kind of hide the grimace, but you're just, kind of hopping off, and constant pain to I walk, absolutely no problem sleeping, and I clear during the day, and it's just given me energy. I've never been healthier.
And I think that's the other thing, because of all the wonderful health benefits of the plant and what you do with it. I think it's such an unfortunate tragedy we've had to fight this long. What I absolutely love, though, is that the voice of the people was finally heard. And I actually believe a lot of that has to do with the growth of social media and the immediate spread of information.
Like you, Ted.
Listen, you have to just get out there. I love you guys. And what's great is after our last show, I actually had some people message me and go, I disagree 100% with what you're doing. I'm going to have to unfriend you. That's okay. It's not like I'm out here preaching evil, people. We're just talking about getting people pain-free, or at least living a better life than they're living right
not
now.
For everybody. Not everyone's going to accept it, or us, and we recognize that fact. But at the end of the day, as my friends like to say, we are doing good, and we're helping people, and we see the results of it. So the naysayers can be naysayers. We're not holding a gun to your head and say, you have to do medical marijuana.
I know,
It's
so
your
let
choice.
people be.
Oftentimes it's,
Makes me crazy.
we just want to let you know, do your own research. We're here to help. 844-855-2727. If you
Reach
guys
out to
have
us.
questions, give us a call.
So if you have any
I
questions
love this.
about anything to do with cannabis,
Yes.
don't think that, look, I just asked some basic questions, and I guarantee you we answered that for a lot of people out there wondering what the heck. Because it can be confusing. Thanks, Colleen. It can be so confusing for the person who hasn't done it or isn't around it, and then getting past the stigma and the vilification of it. There are so many amazing uses for it. I want you guys to explore, and what better way than to talk to two people who are in it. It's their livelihood. This is what they do. It's their passion. They're compassionate people who have a big passion for helping people. So we're going to share all of their contact information, how you can reach out to Chris and Renee, how you can look up Mission Leaf after the show. So any parting words of wisdom for them, anything you want to share before we head out?
We will be at the Brooksville Health and Music Festival this weekend in Brooksville, Florida. We'll be set up with our mobile unit. Look for Mission Leaf. If you have questions, come out, sit down. We always have time to talk. We'll take the time. If it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it takes to help you out, we're there for you.
And Renee?
Well, Ted, again, I think you're a Canna hero. I mean,
Oh,
we
a Canna hero. I
appreciate you.
love that.
Regulate Florida. Thank you, everyone who's trying so hard to free the plant. And be
Amen.
safe.
Free the plant.
Patrick, thank you. It's been great. You kickstarted us. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.
And Jeff, we will post that number when I share the show again. And I'll post the website, Facebook page, whatever they have. We'll do that and share it. You guys are a joy. And you know why you're a joy? First of all, you're joyful people. But you love what you do. You love helping people. And that's what we need more of. So reach out to them. I'll share all the information. We love you guys. Mwah. Here from the golf place on iDrive. See you later.